So basically today's session is called Debunk the Monk, not Moth. Debunk the Monk. It's a good word. So we're gonna actually just have a session where we want to question your understanding of the Krishna consciousness philosophy. Okay? So it's very simple, it's going to be very interactive. Many times when we come to Krishna consciousness, most of the time it can be quite ritualistic. We just start doing things because our friends are doing it, or it just becomes second nature. But when we don't have the understanding, if someone questions you why you do this, and you don't have an answer to present, then your faith may be kind of, tested. So today's session is just basically talking about, the basic misconceptions people have, the basic arguments people will challenge you about your practice. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Before we start, and the structure of this talk, what I want to do is, I want to actually understand your understanding of this philosophy. So I want you guys to break up into pairs. So we'll have 6 pairs. Okay? And what I want to do is I'm going to give you guys about 5 minutes, and you're going to have to come up with a 1-minute pitch to present the Krishna consciousness philosophy. So I have a very good friend of mine. I've got, what's your name, sir? Damon. This is Damon. What's your name? Sandip. This is Sandip. Damon has a PhD, not 1 but 2, in something, right?
You wouldn't understand.
I wouldn't understand. Yes, okay. And I don't know what Sandip does. What do you do, man?
I'm an RE teacher.
He's an RE teacher. And believe it or not, both of these guys are atheists. They're very intellectual people, they're curious people, but they just can't get their head around spirituality, religion, etc. So these guys are new. You guys have a challenge to pitch. Why is this process appealing? Why should they take up to it? Okay, so just understand that they have no understanding of who Krishna is, and you've got to really pitch it well. Yesterday we had, what team was it? Green team? They did a really good job. I gave them 5 minutes, they pitched it very well. They almost got convinced. First time we did the session, their pitch wasn't so good. They said, yes, we're not the body, we're the soul. And that was the summary. So you've got to make it really appealing and interesting. Does that make sense? So work in pairs, so we want to get 6 different ideas and different pitch as well, so you can pitch it to these guys. Is that okay? I'll give you guys about 5 minutes and we can take it from there. Okay, any volunteers who would like to go first? Okay, so guys, we've got this team who's going to pitch it first. If you guys are prepared, don't copy their ideas. Just want to make sure. Alright, please, off you go.
So Krishna consciousness is a way of life, as to see things positively in life and to reach ultimate happiness. And you can reach this by associating with like-minded people, mantra meditation, eating sanctified food.
It's okay, it's a good attempt, very good attempt. Okay, anyone else? Can anyone convince these 2? Yes, Isha, please, and your team.
Krishna consciousness is being conscious of Krishna. Krishna is God, respectively, pretty know what God is. And our goal in Krishna consciousness is to go back to Krishna. Because Krishna is the essence of sweetness. We all want to go back to that little sweetness. And so our goal in life is to show maximum devotion to Krishna by serving his devotees and by giving all our time to him as much as possible to his devotees and himself.
That's direct, man.
That's very direct.
It's got big words in that one.
Okay, guys, what do you think?
Your partner didn't look so impressed.
He didn't seem so convinced. You're not really sure. That's helping it.
Okay, so that was good. I think if it was a devotee crowd, then
Yeah.
that would be very convincing. But anyone new, they'll be like, God, not so into it, sweet, I'm diabetic. You know what I'm saying? So it's just something to be conscious of also. So it's a good attempt, very good attempt. Okay, anyone else? Maybe we can get someone from the ladies. That's okay, please.
So, as I'm sure you're already aware, in this current world we live in, there's already so much suffering, pain, hatred, hypocrisy, and stress. What if we told you there is a way to ultimately move past that and still, despite it, lead to happiness and satisfaction?
Well, Krishna consciousness is we utilize knowledge from ancient Vedic scriptures, and we have a cyclic succession, so you actually backdate it where it goes.
And then you use these 5 things. You have food, meditation, books, association, enjoyment, and then you ultimately develop an understanding of Supreme Personality.
What do you think?
I like the food bit.
Everyone does.
That was an interesting presentation, right? Would you agree? I like you started off with a problem that we have in society. That was nice, because everyone can relate to that. It's very universal. I like the way how you guys then said a practical example, A, B, C, D, E. That was nice. But then you ended with personality of Godhead. So I don't know. It could work. I'm not saying. I'm not being.
Try to not use the word God.
It depends on the. It depends on.
We didn't say God, we said Supreme Personality. That was very
Okay,
good.
fair enough.
Yeah.
I guess that could work because what's Supreme Personality we can get into.
Exactly.
Were you convinced? Mr. RE teacher, study?
Nearly.
Maybe. Okay.
Let's see
Fine.
how it goes.
Okay. Thank you. That was a good attempt. Yes, Gopinath.
Okay, so because you two are both atheists, because you two are both atheists, in this world we have science and God, basically, and atheists.
Just science.
Okay, so atheists usually go with the science side of things, and science says that the world was created by atoms colliding together at perfect timing, at perfect speed, everything like that. Yeah. So technically, if atoms collide, then we should be able to make things. So when I clap my hands, atoms are colliding. My hands are made of atoms. Everything's made of atoms. Nothing's appearing. So in that way, if science doesn't work, then the other option has to be God. And if one doesn't work, then the other has to work, because otherwise nothing works. And it didn't get to work. Okay, so and in Krishna consciousness, we kind of preach in a way science, because we preach the fact that our modern day science has only got to like a certain stage, which the Vedic scriptures got to millions and millions of years ago, and therefore we must be right. Krishna consciousness must be right.
What do you guys think? No.
It's making me think actually. It's making me think.
Okay, good attempt. What do you guys think? Any feedback? Is this something you would pitch out to anyone, any new friends of yours at university or work or anything like that? Would you be comfortable doing that?
Me too.
Oh. Direct approach, huh? Atoms colliding, clapping your hands, nothing's created.
Not that strong, I guess, because especially if it's your friends, you don't want to. And they're your friends, you don't want to like shout at them because that would just be a bit awkward.
It was quite a bit aggressive.
Yeah.
Or maybe make them question that, so that they feelings like that happen.
Oh yeah, so you can actually question them. I'm just curious, how does this work? Why doesn't this happen? So,
Never full on disagreeing. I'd never say no to anyone. I'd say yeah, but.
oh yeah.
So I never use the word no. So it wouldn't. So in a sense, the more they engage in conversation, the more they'd be willing to hear,
Yeah.
and the more they're willing to hear, the more they'd be willing to change their minds. So just keep the conversation going, if anything.
Thank you. Thank you, Gopinath. That's it. Okay. Last week? And you guys as well.
No, we didn't.
Yes, please.
So you guys are atheists, right? So you just believe in science. So Krishna consciousness is the science of God, and it's the science of God has the most information about God and what is our relationship with God. And like to prove this, we even know the name of God, which is Krishna. We even know his phone number, which is Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's 24 hours available, and from Monday to Sunday.
How much does it cost me?
No, it's free. That's the
Straight up.
number ever.
No, it doesn't work on your Apple phone. It's a different
And
phone.
actually, God is not the one who's like benefited from this, it's you. Because by doing this process, that's how you're going to be happy. And yeah, you're just going to be happy by developing a relationship with God.
It's basically a process by which we can develop a loving, animate relationship with God, or Krishna, and that's by chanting Muhammad, as she said. And the mantra is
basically the names of God, and those produce like pure spiritual sound vibrations, which by which we can unlock like our true spiritual nature, and like our actual nature, because like the reason we all want to be happy is because our soul wants to be happy. It's in our nature to be happy as pure spirit souls. And the only way to be happy is if we connect to the source of happiness. The source of happiness is Krishna, is God, from which we have everything.
Okay, round of applause. That was
Good,
fantastic.
yeah.
That was good. Any feedback? What do you guys think of the pitch?
I don't even give that much in the RE lesson.
Too much. A lot of information, right? Okay, good. I think it was a lot of information. I think it was a lot of information for someone to take in. I think it was nicely presented. It was very poetic, you know. Yeah, you can call God, you know. It's nice, right?
I wasn't so convinced by that part.
You're not convinced by anything.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
You can't teach about something you don't believe in.
So it's good. It's good attempt. It's nice.
I
And
don't
at
believe in
least
mathematics.
one thing is when you're doing this is at least it kind of clarifies your understanding of the Christian process. So it's nice. So that's good. Thank you. And the last group.
Yeah. What's your name, guys?
Sorry?
What's your name?
Pandip.
Sandeep.
Damon.
Damon. Oh, Sandeep.
Get it?
Name?
Demon.
Oh, D-I. Sandeep, Damon. Let me ask you a question. What's the purpose of life? Like your life. Your life.
There is no purpose.
That's it. That was your pitch.
That was a good pitch. You want to
Short and sweet.
So, okay, you said that there is no purpose. You feel like you can control things in your life, in your own life. You feel like? To what extent? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, but that is not the case each and every time, is it? I mean, even if you have to pee, or even if you have a nature's call, if you're thirsty, and I may make you sit over here. Would you be able to control it? No, right? And eventually you have to give it.
I mean, if you want to go to the toilet, you can't control it, right?
I mean, anything, for that matter, even the rain, can you control it? No. So what the point I'm trying to make is that there has to be some higher power than what you actually think of. I mean, if you're thinking that I control everything, and that is not the case. So if there has to be a higher power, it has to be absolute. I mean, everything cannot be related in this world, right? Because then it would be all chaotic, and if everything is related. So if there has to be something absolute, there has to be something written in a written form. Like you buy some kind of machine, you have a manual for it. So if there's this world, there has to be a manual for that, like how it works, okay, who has created it, who's maintaining it right now, when does it get actually destroyed, and what happens to the whole universe and the creation, right? So this has to be there in a written form, and that is what Krishna consciousness is. I mean, Krishna tells you in the Bhagavad Gita that, I mean, which of the gods actually ask you or tell the people that I am God and you should follow me? None of them. I don't think any of the gods actually tell you to do that.
In India, there's a new god every week.
Yeah.
There's sayings,
Quite a few.
So I'm going to stop you there. The reason why is because I think you're getting more into the debate, which I want you to save it for later on.
Okay.
Okay? Hope that's okay.
Yeah, no,
It was an
no
interesting presentation because you're challenging them, but I said it was a pitch. Pitch means you're going to present it, 2 minutes yours, and you have to pitch it basically. You know, so it was good.
Okay.
It was good.
I was eventually going to come to that, but yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Because I think the points you're making is something that when these guys are going to present different arguments, I think your arguments are valid and you will actually counteract whatever they're presented.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you. Was that useful for you guys? Yeah, a little introspective exercise. So what I'm going to do is we're going to try another exercise. Actually, I'd like to share with you how I present Christian consciousness to someone who's very new. Is that okay? It's something cool. I like to do experiments. I'm not sure if you figured out. So let me show you guys something. I want you guys to see this piece of paper, right? Plain piece of paper. Okay, it's a plain piece of paper. If I asked you to go to the shop with this piece of paper, would you be able to get me something?
No.
You wouldn't. Why not?
Values.
It's valueless, right? It's absolutely valueless. Now, I need a volunteer if that's okay. I've got Mansley. Who's here afraid of fire? Who are you going to remind me your name? Janakinath. Okay, round of applause for Janakinath, please. No, Janakinath, you come up. Okay, so Janakinath, what I want to do is, I'm going to crunch this paper up. I want to get a matchstick and watch this, empty hand. And this is how I present. I say life is a little boring sometimes, material life especially. It's valueless, there's no life to it. But when you add, if you like it, when you add the, you could say the fire of bhakti yoga to your ordinary boring life, watch this. Can you just pick that up, Jonah? Then, eventually, it adds value. I'm going to give this back to Shyam. I owe him 20 pounds, so thank you. So something simple, something practical, and this way what happens is you've broken the ice. Okay, this guy's okay, and then you can start getting it. I think when you want to present Krishna conscious philosophy, it's all based on one major principle is relationship. When you become their friend, they trust you, then you can start getting ideas and concepts like this. Does that make sense? It's very important. We're not there to convert them. No. We're not there to actually, process and actually help them. We're actually there to help them transform their life and help them in different aspects of life. And it will come firstly with relationship. Very important. So before we do that relationship, it's very important to have a good understanding for yourself about the philosophy. Okay, so today what we're going to do is we're going to have these guys challenge you. But before we do that, again in your groups, I want you to discuss one thing. That there is a lot of problems in society. You guys started with all the problems we have in society. Would you agree there's a lot of problems and challenges in the world? Right? A lot of people are suffering. So we need to create a revolution, correct? Now, I'm going to give you guys the opportunity. How many of you seen the film Bruce Almighty? Okay, so you guys seen it. So it's a film about Jim Carrey becoming God for one day, and he's trying out different things. Well, now you guys have the power to be God for one day. If you were God for one day, 24 hours, what would you do to create a revolution in society and bring back peace and happiness? Okay, come up with a different list. We're just going to put it down, and we'll take it from there. Is that clear? God for one day, what would you do? Time starts now. Okay, remove bad qualities. Brilliant, because there's so much bad qualities in our world, in our society nowadays, right? So if this is removed, things will, there's a lot of revolution in society. So that's good. Great, thank you. You will remove that. Anyone else?
I'd lay a foundation I'd lay multiple good foundations for the future. Because you're only good for a day. Like if you're good for a long time, you probably get a lot of good work done. But
you're good for foundation meaning what?
You could all do it
like basic
in
principles
like negative time.
Yeah.
So
you turn back time and do it.
brilliant. Foundation, education, basically, right? Some sort of form of education to train people, teach people, basically.
Just have to do it like I'm doing, and then just say actually.
Foundation could be make sure everyone follows the four very principles.
Some direct people in society. Yes, okay. So 4 regs, rules and regulations, basically, right?
Otherwise, then that will reduce like war.
Okay, good.
Another 16 rounds.
Yeah. Shall we add that?
No.
No, because that's minimum, so maybe more. It should be more. Or something. Okay, fine. We'll just stick to that for now, right? Hopefully, in the foundation, there should be information there. Okay, great. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Break the rule in that process by which, like, whenever someone's feeling hungry, that their stomach's automatically put in a push-up challenge. Like.
So this is one creative God we have here. Okay, so when someone's hungry, not only do they get food in the stomach,
they can also taste it. So they can taste the challenge somehow, and like they're also like full.
Okay, so basically, can we just say remove hunger? No, she's not happy with that. So we will Auto prashadam feed. I think that's a good phrase, right? And not to forget that they should be able to taste it as well, right? That's very important. Okay, so God wants to do that. Taste is very important. Okay, thank you. That was good. Anyone else? Please.
And for one as well.
Right.
I think you really have.
Make people realize, but I'm talking about practical. You're good. How would you do that? I mean, it seems to me it will fit in this foundation business. So shall we say in that it includes everything? Because you talk about education, make people realize religion does not cause war. Because right now religion does cause war, right? No, I'm just, is that right now religion does cause war? Okay, so maybe in the bracket you want to write religion does cause war, so educate people how religion should not cause war.
Christians never started it.
Okay, that works. Okay, anything else? Yes, go.
Become God forever. No, I'm joking. I would make everyone give everyone like I don't know how to say it, but more forgiveness.
Oh, you would teach people forgiveness.
Yeah.
The science of forgiveness. Teach again. Okay, so we'll specifically write down teach. We've got the foundation for future education, but we'll write teach people the art of forgiveness.
Yeah, so that wars can stop and stuff.
Oh yeah, so people can go on war, and when there's war, people should be able to forgive those who start the war, right? Right? Is that right? No.
Kind of.
Kind of. Okay. Okay, good. Teaching forgiveness, very important quality. Okay. Anything else?
Make it so that whenever any animal's killed, they turn radioactive.
Now education.
But in a way, a special radioactive so they can decompose. But like, so it's not like poisonous to the ground, so when you grow vegetables and stuff. Like, it's not poisonous.
So basically, you're trying to kill people who
Yeah,
kill
why don't you say stop slaughterhouse? Wouldn't that be easier?
You might, because slaughterhouse is one specific place where people kill animals.
Just stop animal killing. Like, you know, who was it? I think Ravana had a curse that if he touches a woman involuntarily, he gets killed or something, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a law like that, if you try to kill someone or an animal, you'll die. So I'm not imposing anything, but we can put radioactivity down. You're God for a day, you might destroy me or something, so I've got to be careful, right? Okay, good. That's good. Radioactive animal killers.
Brahmastra.
That's great. Okay, anything else? You guys are God for one day. I mean, you guys happy with that? Is there anything else when you look at different problems in life? What do you think the main problem is? Like, one of the biggest challenges people have is if God exists and there's one particular activity that happens.
Scientific.
Sorry?
Science.
Natural disasters.
Natural disasters. Okay, what else?
Suffering in general.
Suffering. It's a big thing, right? A lot of times the argument is if God exists, why is there so much suffering? Did you get that quite a lot? You know, so as God, would you like to remove suffering?
No.
No? Okay, you want to keep suffering?
Yeah.
Okay, good. This God wants to keep suffering.
You want to keep it?
If you don't keep suffering, then if you don't know what's bad, then how are you going to ever appreciate what's good?
That's a good point.
Is that the philosophy? In order for you to appreciate something good, you have to appreciate something bad.
No, you have to appreciate what's bad.
Oh, you have to taste something
Just
bad.
You have
experience.
to know what's bad to know what's good. Like if you've only ever been in darkness, you won't know what light is.
Okay.
If you've only ever been in light,
So
you know
suffering's
what
okay.
Yeah.
So maybe all these things that's happening is good because that's what God wants to do. Make people experience the negative aspect so you can.
Well, there's a difference between knowing what suffering is. You don't need that much for you to know what it is.
Okay.
But you.
Okay.
But you need to
This is what you're saying, right?
No, that's not what I'm saying. Why did I say the word children?
So I think what
Just
he's
then.
trying to say, it comes in that category. Right? Well, actually, if innocent children are killed, that's a form of suffering. But that's okay, because suffering should be there, right?
The extreme form of suffering, isn't it?
Extreme or liberal, suffering,
I
right?
could just break an arm and move on.
That's raw. Okay.
You're God, not me.
Okay, so as God, you will keep on children being killed, that's okay. Or if not, break the arm, that's okay. Alright? Okay, that's fine. Okay, good. So this is nice. You guys were God for one day. This is the list that you came up with, which is nice. Yes, Janakinath.
So if I was God, I would like show every person on the planet that I do exist.
Oh, good.
And what is in store for them if they do follow.
Okay, good. Fantastic. Because if God exists and a lot of people
and then they would have the free will to either continue living in Maya
good.
or follow social because if I actually showed them it's true, if they didn't have to take that faith, a lot more people would do it.
Fantastic. Okay, because that's another thing. A lot of times people say, God exists, why doesn't He show Himself to me? Why can't I see God? Because if I see Him, it just makes life easy, right? So why doesn't He show Himself? Good. Fantastic. Any last few points before we move on? Excellent. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to pass it over to my colleagues. They have a few doubts that they want to ask you. and in your nicest possible way, please try to convince them, because the philosophy you're practicing has answers to everything. So if you have the right understanding, you'll be able to present it. At the same time, as we're going through this process, if there are any particular doubts that you guys have or you've come across which you don't know how to handle or present, then please bring it up at the end, because we're going to have Q&A at the end as well. Is that okay? So I'm going to hand it over to my colleagues. So it's a debate, remember? They're going to present a point to you. You will have some time to think about it and then present it back to these guys. David, please, the stage is yours.
Yeah, guys.
Thinking one thing when you guys were brainstorming these little ideas of yours. You do a lot of things towards God, right? So they come up with quite a comprehensive list here. One of them being remove all bad qualities in people. The second one was lay foundations for the future. Yeah? One of you said auto prashad feed. Teach forgiveness. Make animal killers radioactive. Okay. And the last one was quite shocking, so I won't repeat it. But let's pick a few of them. If God was existing, then why aren't any of these things actually happening? You were God for a day just now, and you'd explain what you want, what you think is best for the world. And no doubt, remove bad qualities from people. That's great. But why didn't God do that? He could do it in a split second. But he did it. That's why I kind of think that God doesn't even exist. He's not even doing any of this. None of this is actually happening. So I don't actually think he even exists. Right? The way I see it is that your little religion, or religions in the world, not just you guys, God is just like a little man-made figure. Okay? Some guy on top, he's actually created this idea and he's called this thing God, just so he can benefit from controlling thousands and almost millions of people. I just heard the other day, one Christian man is a leader of a Christian group, quite a famous Christian group actually, and he's considered to be a prophet. This prophet is actually living in a £4 million house. You guys are working very hard here, every day you're doing some sort of service, cleaning, this, that, the other, and you're told that you're going to a cooking workshop. All you're doing is just cutting carrots all day, isn't it? You know, at the temple you're doing so much services and giving some money and making investments, giving donations. You haven't seen where that money goes. You don't know who's benefiting. But yet, you're just being led to, convinced by this whole falsehood that there is a God and God's going to be happy because I'm doing this. Actually, you don't know what top guy's benefiting from. You don't know what he's doing, how he's spending your hard-earned cash, do you? So I'll give you just 2 minutes in your prayers just to think about, try and convince me about that point. And I'm willing to learn, but I'm not so convinced right now. So I'll give you 2 minutes.
So let me just to clarify, you're making the point that if God exists, then why isn't these things happening? So you're saying that the very fact that these things are not happening proves God does not exist, right? And the second point is you're saying that God is created,
Is it man-made
to control people.
just to control people?
Okay, so 2 points. If God exists, the very fact that these things are still are not happening by God and is still happening in a society means God doesn't exist. First point. And is religion created by man to control man? Okay, these are the 2 points that they presented. What would you say to that? I'll give you guys 1 minute to brainstorm and then present it.
It's going to come back to us. So if you do something good, it's going to come back to you also. So if you do, whatever you do, it's because it's your fault. It's not God's fault. Because if he was controlling us, we would actually not have all of those problems. But because he's so kind, he has given us free will.
He's given us, sorry, I'm the mediator. I'm not the devil's advocate. Alright, guys.
Just yesterday, my sister had a little baby.
Oh, that's cute.
His name is Damon. And this little niece of mine, looking forward to seeing her actually, but 2 hours after she was born, one man came into the hospital and kidnapped her, and she got thrown into a river. Yes. She didn't do anything bad.
But you don't know.
I think the main thing to remember is that this world that we're currently living in as humans is not the world that we are are meant to permanently be in. We're meant to permanently be in. Oh my god, everyone just changed their face.
Not going outside.
They're just curious how creative
One of us.
you would be, with your answer here. So.
Yeah. This world is ultimately a temporary place for us to be. We're not a body, we're a soul, and our soul's meant to be in the spiritual world there with God. As Isha saying here, we do have free will, but there's a reason that we have free will. And that's also the reason why bad things happen is because of free will. But the reason we have free will is that God loves us so much, but He wants us to equally love Him. He doesn't want us to be forced to love Him. So He gives us free will to do as we please, hoping ultimately that we choose the correct options and go back to Him. But that's not necessarily always the case. And that's the problem. It's a problem with free will. You're not forced to do one thing, and so ultimately bad things do happen. And if you take away all of these things, you're taking away the free will, and that is not what God wants.
So why does God give free will to immature people?
God gives free will to everyone. He loves everyone equally.
So that they can
There's
go
no
around
hierarchy.
killing babies?
Sorry?
So they can go around killing babies?
That's just someone who's made a poor choice, isn't it?
My niece never made a poor choice.
So I think the point Damon's making, I'm trying to understand it. Please correct me. I'm a neutral guy, just to let you know, but I'm just trying to dissect his question. So Damon's making that if God is a person who gives free will to his dependents, right? Like what you guys are claiming. Is that correct? We get free will. So now a child, when a child, like a little baby child, would you give them a Stanley knife? Would you give a child a Stanley knife or a knife in general? Or why not?
Because they don't know how to use it.
He doesn't know how to use it. So if a conditioned soul doesn't know how to use his free will, why would God give it to him in the first place? It's it doesn't make sense. I think, am I right? Is that what you're done? Yeah, okay. I just thought I'll just clarify for him to you guys.
You can come sit on our side.
No, I'm a neutral guy, so I'll stand there. Yeah, guys, please. What would you say to that? Like that's what Damon's trying to say. He's a little upset because of his niece being lost right now. So. Yeah, guys. Anyone would like to? We talk about free will here. So anything you'd like to? Because right now you guys are not doing a good job at this.
Okay. So in this world, there's a thing called reincarnation, and reincarnation shows that. Okay. Reincarnation shows that when someone does something in a previous life, they will have to get a reaction. So let's say your niece did something to someone else in that previous life, and as a result had to be killed in this life. And like that, bad qualities therefore show us what is right and what is wrong. Because if there weren't bad qualities, such as killing people, children, then people wouldn't know what was right or what was wrong. And people maybe would always do something right, but if someone did something wrong, it would create like a streak, and everyone would start. Maybe not in like in a normal way. So maybe someone does something wrong, someone punishes them. But in this world, we would have maybe if someone stole something, it wouldn't be a severe punishment such as death. Whereas in such a world, a punishment might be death because people are used to good things. I'm confused on what I've said.
Anyway, that's a good attempt. I'm gonna give that. Okay. Yes, Janakinath.
This world is Maya, is Maya, and everything is temporary. Life is temporary. Happiness is temporary. Sadness is temporary. And like, even though this body that we live in is temporary, we live on eternally. So after this body, we'll have another life, and another life, and we will keep doing so until we realize that we don't want to be here, because this material world was designed for people who didn't want to be with Krishna, who got jealous of him, and who didn't want to adhere to those things. So they were given the opportunity to come here, and they dropped down because of bad things they did. So the reason we have free will is so we, as spiritual souls, can make the decision to go back to Krishna. But the thing about free will is it's a double-edged blade. Even though it gives us the opportunity to do good, and to be Krishna conscious and try to get back to Godhead, it means that we also have the free will to do the opposite. And some people choose to do those things. Because without one, you don't have the other. There needs to be an equal balance for both to exist. Because if we were all doing good things and no one could commit any sins or any bad things in this world, then we wouldn't have the free will to go back to Godhead.
Damon, what do you think?
I have a friend called Maya.
Maya is illusion created by Krishna to try to obstruct us, to try to make sure that we are sincere in our love to him and our devotion to him. That's why he's created Maya in this world to test our strength and how truly faithful and devotional we are to him.
That was good. Well done. That was a good presentation. What do you think?
You got some conviction. I'll give you that. But yeah, it's a bit wacky when you're talking about these worlds. It's a bit too much really. Spiritual worlds. I just know this place, yeah.
You have to wait PhDs, open your mind.
Anyway.
Anything to say? Okay. Do you guys have any points? No? We talk about God. Okay. So I think maybe we could move on. Now the second point they raised was religion is actually not, I think these guys made a point, actually there's no such thing as religion. It's actually created by man to control people. When you look at religion, it's all about rules, regulations, do things according to this, etc., etc., and it's controlling people. So it's great because when you control, you can make them do whatever you want. So it's actually done by a very intelligent man. What would you say to that? Huh?
Super intelligent.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you call him, super intelligent or not so super, whatever. Intelligent man has created religion to control man. What would you say to that?
And I'm seeing it happen. What's the difference between you guys?
Yeah, but so what's religion for you first?
Religion is man-made. It's a man-made doctrine, which is a form of actually controlling people through false hope.
Can you give an example?
I gave one already, right?
No.
You have these Scientologists, and you also have certain Christians, which are these guys just benefiting all the money. I don't see this going for any godly work. It's been caught $1 million house, a profit.
I don't think we have the same idea of what religion is.
No, they don't have an idea of religion. There's no such thing as religion for them. Because they're atheists, right? Atheist religion means linking yourself to God. They're just saying there's no such thing as God. God does not exist.
It just seems like a company.
Oh.
Just a big company where you're just giving your money.
You know, there's ISKCON, right?
Yeah.
International Society for Christian That sounds quite corporate. It's no different to HSBC, really.
Would you take us seriously if we didn't have some society?
Maybe.
So
Would you like to elaborate on that?
So if you didn't have some sort of, not corporations, but some sort of society, then would you then take it seriously or not? If we didn't have books, if we didn't have, spiritual leaders who know their stuff, then would you take it seriously?
I'm just curious about your spiritual leaders, the people heading up your society, your temples. Just saying.
Just focus on, okay, so I'm on your side, yeah? Whenever people ask you a question, just try to understand and dissect it. When you look at logically, it just makes no sense, okay? So think it from that perspective. Don't get all defensive. Just use logic and boom, correct it. Yes?
Is it because of the rules and regulations that you think it's man-made?
No, it's a effect. The rules and regulations are there as a medium to control you, so that someone else can exploit all the fruits of your own actions.
Okay. So say you want to, say an athlete, if he wants progress in his athletic career, does he just do anything whatever he wants to do? Or does he have rules and regulations? Does he regulate himself to get to that stage where he becomes a successful athlete? He does, right? So in order to process in spirituality, it's a process. It's not just man-made. You see results on the way, in the process.
Is that what they tell you?
You experience it. You have to try it to experience it. But if you just want to sit there and question, narrow-minded, you won't. So that's why we have rules and regulations. So if an athlete wants to be successful, there are only certain things he can eat. That he has to do a lot of exercise, a lot of discipline. That's what we need to do in order to progress in our spiritual
journey as well. That's what it's not man. Rules and regulations are there to shape you, to get you in a certain direction. Otherwise you'll be directionless.
I'm just curious, like, what do you experience?
Wow. What do you experience?
That's my point.
Done nothing, right?
Well, we experience a good style of life.
That's quite a good style, isn't it?
Okay, for example, I know sometimes do you feel like should I do this or that? Like you are kind of confused? Or no, never? Really?
There is a lot of, one of the things that we experience are humility, compassion towards others, happiness, genuine happiness, by like, from the little things.
Just to let you know, when I look at you guys don't look so happy. Like you guys look quite depressed.
I actually came in at 4 a.m. in the morning today, 4:30, so, and I saw like everyone just like they had this bag on their hands. They looked really depressed, like this.
Made me feel for that.
Oh, that's
Half
concentration.
the guys are getting more happiness from playing Pokemon Go.
You wouldn't though, so
What was that?
You wouldn't because there's no internet signal.
You mentioned about the church group and the leader who had like 4 million hats and Scientologists. Well, those are examples of where someone took the free will, they saw religion and they saw it as a way to exploit people. They saw it as a way to, make money off of them. But with Krishna consciousness, there's a difference in that Krishna consciousness can be practiced without contributing any money. Like Krishna consciousness, all you need is yourself and the will to pray to God and the will to serve Him. Like and that is enough to feel an effect, and that is enough to become happy in life, and that is enough to change your outlook on life, and eventually experience something that was so pure and so convincing that you put your whole faith in God.
So what is that thing you're looking for? You're talking about it and saying, yeah, you'll experience it somewhere along the way. But what is that? I mean, you're saying this, it doesn't look like any of you experienced it. So what is it?
reciprocation. So so after some kind of like chanting, following the regulative principles and everything, you experience reciprocation. So Krishna, who you're trying to build a loving relationship with, he responds to your desires.
Always.
I think we should. So just to break it down, we're going to come back to this about if God exists, why doesn't He do this in the first place? But actually, if you look at it and think about it, God does do all of these things. Okay, He does do all of these things. Second point is that, this question we said, common question you get is if God does not exist, religion is created by man to control people. First question arises is it wrong to be controlled? Is it wrong to be controlled, first of all?
No,
and we agree. We agree that actually religion is caused by an intelligent person. Not any intelligent, the supreme intelligent person. He's designed religion to actually control people. When you're sick, what do you do? When you're sick, what do you do? You're really sick. Like the other day, Sham Gopal broke his leg, right? So I think, Tanya, you came. So what do we do? What do we do when he broke his leg? Went to the doctor, right? When you go to the doctor and you're sick, what does the doctor do to you? He treats you, and what else does he do?
Diagnosis you.
He diagnoses it and he gives you. Does he control your life at that point?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you surrendered yourself to Him, because he has the knowledge to help you.
Right.
So you let him control your life.
Yeah, so it's
at that
okay
point.
to be controlled. Okay? That's the point, right? The doctor is controlling his lifestyle just so that he can get better and then he can have freedom to do whatever he wants. Does that make sense? Religion plays the same role. Krishna, like you guys said, if God existed, why doesn't He lay the foundation for the future? Well, He does. This is why He's written and educated in the wisdom books that He's presented. In that you see He's laid down how to get rid of bad qualities. Okay? In the books written, He's given us different rules and regulations which we can use to actually overcome our disease. And what's our disease? our disease is that we're suffering from spiritual amnesia. Okay? Amnesia means, you forget things, right? So we actually have a spiritual identity. We don't belong in this world. We belong in a realm far, far from here. So we've forgotten that. So if we follow certain rules and regulations, it will help us actually remember our true identity. And hence, the 4 regular principles, what do we call them? We call them regulative principles of freedom. These regs will help you become ultimately free. Does that make sense? So when people pose questions, like, just look at the question and then dissect it. Does that make sense?
Many times what so happens that now these people are atheists, so
They're really not.
no, I know.
We have feelings.
Okay, but it didn't really seem while he was playing it. But no. So when you tell them things like these, they're just not ready to believe into some. They just lack the faith,
Yeah, that's
understand
fine.
that, right?
So I agree. So the point is, when you're arguing with anyone, first we have to understand where they're coming from. If they're very argumentative, no matter what you say, no matter how logical presentation you've thrown up, we're doing this for your understanding, mainly. Okay? If you are able to answer this, then great. Then you look at the person, then you look at the psychology of that person, how open-minded they are, then you challenge it and tackle it accordingly. Does that make sense? Not all the time you'll be able to defeat people because you'll be just going round in circles. But the most important thing is you should be convinced. You should be able to give a logical presentation of why we do what we do. Does that make sense? Okay?
But my question was that, like, can you inculcate faith in them? I mean, putting forth the thing logically is fine.
Philosophically, if someone's hard-hearted, no.
No, right.
Only through relationship you can.
Yeah.
When a person knows that you care about them, then slowly they'll start giving faith into you. Okay, maybe this guy. And then if you become the example also, they're like, oh, this guy looks very happy. He can, handle all these challenges and, he's going through all this suffering, but he's happy. What's the secret? Let me find out. Does that make sense?
And then when you get serious, maybe you can...
Yeah, exactly. So they say real preaching, as St. Francis of Assisi once said, that of course I preach. I preach all the time. Only 10% of the time I actually talk. Does that make sense? So basically he's saying your action should do most of the preaching. And that's where the faith will come in. Make sense? So right now what we're doing is just for your conviction. Because the arguments you gave is good, but it's not like, this is it, this makes sense. Does that make sense? Yeah? Should we move on? Yeah, because we've got a whole list of questions for you guys. We're going to really rack your brains. Is that okay? Good.
So I'm kind of warming up you guys to making some more sense now that Damien's gone. I just wondered, seems like there's so many religions out there. If God exists, why didn't he just make one religion, and how come there's so much conflict between religions? People that are trying to be godly.
Okay, so Sandeep's question is that if religion exists, God exists, why is there so many religions?
God didn't mean for there to be so many religions. It's that we interpreted his writings and his teachings in different ways, and it all links back. You can see in different religions, you can see different ways people said things. So maybe they haven't used the exact same words or in the same terminology, but it all links together, and you can relate it back to one source.
That doesn't quite make sense to me, because it seems like there's one God, he gives different religion, they all contradict each other, and it seems to me that religion causes war. In fact, isn't it in your Bhagavad Gita, like apparently your concluding verse says, abandon all religion and surrender unto me. Abandon religion, why would God do that? He's actually telling people, actually abandon whatever I said, now listen to me. In another religious group, they'll say the same thing, and there's so much conflict. And don't you think religion causes war? Look at all the bad things are happening outside in the world today because of religion. My religious books say so. If you're not of a particular caste, boom, you're allowed to kill them.
That's because he, like the demigods that he mentions in our so-called Bhagavad Gita. So therein, all the demigods.
Demigod. No, not Demi Moore, the actress. No. Demigod is something else. Yes, sorry.
So no, I mean the gods that like Allah, Shiva, Brahma, and all the gods that you know, whichever of them. So why God has actually created these people is because many people in the world, okay, they want different things. Yeah. So suppose if you, in your case, maybe you want knowledge, so you go and worship there's a god of knowledge who's called Ganpati. Yeah? So you go and worship Ganpati. Suppose you I don't know, if some other people want something else, they could go and worship the demigod that is responsible for that. Is Saraswati or someone who is interested in music and all. So whatever based on your needs, okay, whatever you want, God has created these subordinate demigods who appeal to your desires and wants, okay, and then and that is why at the end of the Gita, why Krishna says that abandon all the religions, because he wants you to not consider all of okay, so he has mentioned it's because that it is clear to you that he has mentioned that there are this could be a way, this could be a way, this in the third, fourth chapter, the seventh chapter, sorry. So I mean, so he wants you to know all the possible ways that you can that there could be possible ways that there could be, and so ultimately what he wants you to do is that abandon those religions. And
it's a bit of a bad teacher, isn't it? First he gives you all this option, oh, by the way, just forget about that and just do what I say. Doesn't make, I'm just trying to understand also. And another point I want to make is like, you're saying that he's created so many religious books and all this stuff, ultimately to go back to him. It's a bit of a dangerous approach he's come across, right? He's a bad teacher. Like, teacher means you want to make things very concise, clear, especially living in this world. Apparently you guys call it the Kali Yuga, or your intelligence law. Why would you complicate things? Yes.
Because not everyone has like the same consciousness, so that there are different stages. Not everyone can understand like the ultimate purpose of life.
Mm-hmm.
So according to that, say someone doesn't like the idea of being in a relationship with God. They would rather merge into the light. So they're impersonal. So like they like the impersonal concept of God. So you can't. So meditation and like even praying to the impersonal form is better than not praying to anything at all. So they're different like religions because they're all do work. So Islam, Christianity, they do all work. They do whatever they promise in their scriptures. You get them if you follow the process correctly. But the ultimate purpose, so because Krishna is talking to his friend Arjun, he tells him that as a friend that actually all of this is like it's all purposeless. The main purpose is to be in a relationship with me. That's why he says abandon all forms of religion and surrender unto me.
Okay, I'm a bit confused. So you've said there's loads of people in the world to worship and not to worship them, and you said there's like different forms of gods according to the person.
Yeah. So the best, the topmost form is worshipping Krishna. Then it's worshipping the demigods. Then it's that's the thing. Like I said, demigods are also like gods, but they're lower than Krishna. They're Krishna's agents. Then there is is it praying to the impersonal?
Yeah, there's like this like
Something, yeah, like that. Something, yeah.
like
This is crystal clear. I'm getting it now.
okay, so like for example there's that metaphor thing, that's how you call it. Yeah. So like the sunlight is the impersonalism. So that's like, for example, kids might think, oh, the sunlight is the sun. And then there is like the sun, which is
The sun.
no, which is guys, I forgot. But the sun planet is Krishna. Yeah, that's what I remember.
Alright.
Yeah.
No, okay.
also
So like different people are in different stages. Some people we like are a bit lower.
Okay, good. Sorry, Sandeep, do you have something to say?
Yeah, so I'm a bit confused. So
Yeah, I know, we've established
yeah.
that.
no, I didn't really understand the question. What?
None of us did. Okay, I got a little bit involved. Okay, but so Krishna's made a system apparently, and now he's trying to tell you not to go for that system.
Because it's got Krishna out of an 80s month.
And he's just happy that you said the whole thing.
Thank you. So then, I like you guys, I'm friends. I'm trying to make sense of it. So then even further than that, he said this whole Gita to make sense to Arjuna, right? He's trying to make some sense for Arjuna. But it seems like it's a very complicated kind of conversation. But the end point of what Krishna is saying is promote violence. Krishna says to Arjuna, fight. Arjuna's, he's like meditative, he wants to go to a forest, he wants to chant, which is what you guys are telling me to do. And be meditative and humble and nice and compassionate. These are things you're telling me to do. But Krishna didn't tell him. And he says he should go and fight.
So you're saying religion causes war?
Well, the Gita, I'd say.
So religion causes war. You look at all the wars, religion is like a factor that causes war. And here, now you see in your Bhagavad Gita, you guys follow the Bhagavad Gita, apparently you guys say it's a book about peace, happiness, love. But after speaking the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, what was the consequence? A battle took place, and how many people died? 640 million soldiers died. Ooh. So after reading the Bhagavad Gita, you're going to have to go to war. It's just all this hatredness is developed after reading it, and boom, you want to kill people.
I'm your friend, I'm trying to just make sense.
Yes, we've established that.
Well, okay, like you said that I don't know how many number of souls died. I just want to correct you on that point. Like the soul can't be killed.
No, I didn't say. We're not talking about the soul, but soldiers died. That's
oh,
what I'm
soldiers! Sorry, I heard the soul. I was
No,
like,
sorry. Soldiers died. All those people that were in the Mahabharata war, 640 million soldiers died. So
Okay.
you can imagine how many kids were without fathers, how many wives were without husbands. I mean, it isn't. I'm not sure what peace came about with that war.
Sorry, I heard soldiers. Yeah, so all of those people that Arjuna was going to kill, they were bad. They were all making like the Earth a hellish planet. So can you imagine what would have happened if he hadn't?
That makes. Do you
Oh,
understand?
bad people we
You should just
kill.
kill them. Exactly.
Oh.
If there's anyone bad, just kill them.
Okay.
No, that makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, you just kill bad people. How many of you bad here?
But wait, I didn't finish.
Come on. Time's come.
But I didn't finish. Like during that time, it was during that time, like because he was a soldier himself. He was like a Kshatriya. So it was his duty. But now in the age of Kali Yuga, it's said that you shouldn't like fight. It's not your duty now to do that. Just chant peacefully.
But this, it said that book, I researched it a little bit in the last 5 minutes. It said this book, the Gita, is for this day and age, isn't it? It happened in that day and age, but it's for the people of this day and age, right? And he still made it very clear that you have to fight.
And it's
Very
just to enlighten, just
you had to fight.
just to.
There was a conversation Krishna had with Arjun. Arjun asked him, "Why do we have to fight?" And he did say that in the answer, the solution to everything isn't just to fight and to kill. There's certain things you have to do beforehand. There's certain things you have to do beforehand. You have to go through certain routes, and if those routes do not work out in the very last stage, if nothing else is a solution, then fighting is possibly a viable option.
So if I try everything and a bad person doesn't want to listen,
Have you tried everything though?
See, now the thing is, someone could argue that what the jihadis are doing is exactly the same. They've tried in peaceful way. Now it doesn't work, so they've taken violence as an option. Is that justifiable?
They haven't tried everything.
No, but that's a relative thing. Like someone could also argue, oh, have you actually tried everything? Right? Just throwing it. So anyways, we could go on and on. Yes.
I just want to say something.
Please.
They said like they haven't tried everything. Like, well, kind of like if you look at like the history, like they've tried other means, like they've gone through democracy, but then like
Who are we talking about?
like sort of the jihadis, right?
Oh, right, okay.
They've gone through. They've tried doing other things, right? But they've never been able to get through, like manage to get their goals.
We don't want to open that topic because that's a whole new topic. But the point I was trying to make is a valid point. Is that again? So I'm going to come back to my devil's advocate. Yeah, please.
Okay, so I just want to ask them. So if someone came to attack you, would you defend yourself?
no, that read the Gita, yeah.
No, you would defend yourself, right? So so in the Bhagavad Gita, the Pandavas, like his cousins, they wanted to take their kingdom. And they tried everything to like convince them. They even asked for like, because their occupation was to rule and fight, they just needed their occupation. And they even asked for like 5 villages, but they wouldn't even give them like how much? Like
A penny.
yeah.
A land where a penny can put a penny.
Yeah.
Oh, even you
So
know
they,
this.
so they tried everything, and like she said, they were bad people. So if Arjun didn't kill them, the cousins or like the Bhatsa, they would have ended up killing even more people than like died on the battlefield.
So it was
So
his
it was-
cousins.
So that
Cousins, uncles, aunts.
so that they were fighting not because they wanted to kill, but because they were defending themselves and the country.
Okay, round of applause, guys. I think you're good. You're good. So I think it's good. I think you guys are very passionate, which is nice. But sometimes when you get too passionate, you know, you can come across quite aggressive, and it puts people off. Okay. So just how to present some of them, how we've kind of used different techniques of how to tackle these questions, and see what you guys think. You know. So the first question was that I don't even know, what was the question? We're talking about, does religion cause war? Okay. First thing is, let's just, without even getting into technical details, let's keep it simple. Look at the wars of the last century. Of all the wars, 2 wars that happened which had the most casualty, which was what? World War I and 2. Was it because of religion?
No.
It wasn't. So that claim itself is bogus. Okay? Point number 2. You know? So you're saying that religion causes war. So that means you're telling me any countries that does not believe in religion won't have a war? Is that true? Does that mean communist countries are peaceful countries? No. Again, that's not a valid point also. Even if you say religion does cause war, how many wars have you seen in the past has happened because of the Bhagavad Gita? Any? Can you think of any wars? No. So then that statement is also not valid. Does that make sense? You know, and it's nice you guys go into technicality, but if someone's new, they won't understand the technicality of it. Now I gave that example of 18th chapter, Saradharma Parikta, Krishna says abandon religion. When he says abandon religion, do you think he's talking about Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Jainism? He couldn't have, because those religions did not exist 5,000 years ago. What was he talking about? The religion he was referring to was the yoga system he introduced in the 4th and 5th chapters. Does that make sense? So Krishna is saying, instead of following Jnana Yoga, instead of following Hatha Yoga and all this yoga, follow Bhakti Yoga. I'll take care of everything. That's what he was referring to. And Tanya, you made a nice point. You were on board, but there's just a little bit of clarification you needed. So many times people, there's so many religion. What religion do I practice? Right? It's a good question. Someone who's sincere would want to know that answer. How would you answer it? So basically, an answer we came across is this. Sorry about the messy handwriting, but I had to write sideways. So they say everything we do in existence, or religion, falls into 3 categories. There's a category called exclusivism. These are religious organizations who say it's my way or the highway. My religion is the only way. That's one form of extremism. The other category is pluralism. Pluralism say it doesn't matter what path you follow, you will get to the same goal. Now this is another extremism, right? This category, exclusively, says that only my university will produce medical doctors, which is not true. There's so many other universities that produce medical doctors, right? Pluralism are people that say it doesn't matter what building you graduate from, you're going to be a doctor anyways. Again, that's bogus, you know? So what we believe in is inclusivism. We say there's only one path to God, but there's multiple levels based on your understanding and realization of God. Does that make sense? So what you said was right. So understanding God, there's 3 ways you can understand God, you know? So first way is sometimes people cannot comprehend that there's a God with a human form. That's too much for them. So Krishna then gives them, okay, try to accept that there is some supreme intelligence and there's like a big light. That's called Brahma Jyoti. That's level 1. Higher than that is called Paramatma realization. Paramatma realization is that there's God in everyone's heart, and this is God that is, you know, looking after everyone. That's a little higher than Brahman. But the highest and the full aspect of God is Bhagavan realization. Like that. So demigods are not God, by the way. Demigods, just to clarify, because that's a misconception that we always have. Oh, these are different demigods. Demigods are Krishna's servants, devotees, who have taken on a role of managing the material universe, basically. Does that make sense? So these are the 2 ways that you can challenge and tackle these questions.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you know where you had pluralism?
Pluralism, yes.
I think Prabhupada said that you can be a good Christian or a good Muslim and still find God.
Absolutely. So Krishna consciousness is not dogmatic. Prabhupada didn't say your goal of life is to convert people. If you see a Christian, then you don't challenge them to the extent that they will become atheists. Because what it is if someone's practiced Christianity for 20 years, you challenge them and you question their faith, they're definitely not going to follow your faith, and they've just left their own faith that they've been practicing for 20 years. You know, so it's counterproductive. So Prabhupada says, if you're a Christian, help them become better Christian. You know, and Bhagavad Gita is a book which is universal that will teach you how you can actually develop qualities which ultimately will help you develop love of Godhead. And Jesus Christ said that I have so much to tell you, but you're not ready to hear it. So all those followers of Christianity will go to a planet where Jesus Christ is, and he'll take them to the next step, basically. And in the Vedas, it's very inclusive because it's predicted the appearance of Muhammad, the appearance of Jesus Christ. You know, so Krishna says that he's come to give people form of religion on the basis of what level of understanding people have. Does that make sense? Again, all this is just for your basic understanding, so you know how the system basically works. I mean, you can come up with something better, but this is what our understanding is, and when we present it, it's kind of a little convincing, basically. Does that make sense? Yeah, you guys, is that okay? Yes.
Okay, so you gave like the university examples.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that kind of lead to the conclusion that some spiritual systems are in a way inept, while others are kind of more bona fide, like all the I was talking about. So like, isn't that kind of
saying my religion is better because it's giving you complete knowledge? Is that your argument?
No, I'm not saying like that necessarily, but I'm just saying like because there may be other spiritual systems that are like kind of can provide the same kind of things that Krishna consciousness does. However, there are other spiritual systems that are kind of a bit more inept.
Good question. When I first started getting into Krishna consciousness, one of my cousins, I grew up with her, and she said that, you know, you're practicing Krishna consciousness, but have you actually tried out other religion? How do you know this is the best one for you? It's a valid question, right? It seems like I just accepted this blindly, isn't it? Oh, you haven't tried everything else, so that means you accepted this blindly. So I told her, and if someone asked, how do I know which religion to follow? First thing is you've got to explain to them that what is the purpose of religion? To develop love of God, correct? That's the goal. Now, then you ask the person, so why don't you try out different faiths and see which path will help you connect with God the most? Does that make sense? So when she asked me this, I told her that I didn't need to explore in depth those processes because from their basic understanding, I could tell that no, this is not for me. Like for me, I've accepted reincarnation exists. Okay? So that naturally kind of, you know, rules out Christianity and Islam. You know, based on the scientific research, logic, you know, with reincarnation, and I could not accept the fact that if you don't follow a particular religion, God will make you suffer in hell for eternal. You know, because that takes away the compassionate nature of God. Does that make sense? You know, because other faiths, if you're not going to follow this, you're going to rot in hell. You're going to rot in hell for eternal. And then I thought, no, Krishna consciousness was best for me. So if someone asks which is best for me, you say the goal is to develop love of God. Try out different processes, and which one do you find you're most connected to? That's the process for you. It's a nice generic answer. And if someone's really sincere, looking for something deep, even if they practice something else, they won't be satisfied and they will move on. Does that make sense? You know, it's a very simple way of answering it. I don't know, does that answer your question? Great, excellent. Let's move on.
It does.
Okay. I don't know. We yesterday we had a question and answer session. We did about 3 hours. This was meant to be till 5. So if you guys have to leave, you're more than welcome to. But if you have any other questions, this is a good forum to actually ask. Otherwise, we had a few questions that we're still going to challenge you if you want to.
How do you distinguish Hindus and Krishna consciousness?
Oh, that one. Did you guys get that a lot?
Yeah.
What people say what?
Just like,
What religion are you? See, it depends on who's asking and what forum, okay? So for example, when you're writing your application form, you have another choice. You have to write Hinduism down, right? If someone says, oh, what religion do you follow? You know, so, you know, if someone is asking, like in the streets, if someone asks, are you kind of religion? And we explain, actually, you know, religion, what religion are you? On the streets, when people say, are you Hinduism? Right? So what we say is that, actually it's interesting you ask that. We follow something called Sanatana Dharma. Okay? And Hinduism is actually not a religion, so you correct me. Hinduism is just a word given by foreign invaders, the Mughals, who just gave this name to people living across a river called Sindhu. And then therefore, over due course of time, it became Hindus basically. So sometimes if you're trying to do a collaboration work with Hindu people, say yeah, we follow, we have one branch of Hinduism called Vaishnavism. So it depends on who asks, but in reality Hinduism is not a religion because it's just a name given by foreign people, and what we practice is Sanatana Dharma, eternal religion or eternal occupation for the soul.
Why do you think that was passed down? Why in schools we learn about two main gods, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva?
Yeah. So, you got to understand that, Vedic culture was very strong back in the days. People followed Vedic culture very, strictly. But because of the effects of Kali Yuga, things dwindled, Like they said that when the British came to India, they wanted to destroy India, right? And they struggled with that. They struggled hard because they knew that they had strong foundation. So there's one English leader, I forgot his name, but he studied Sanskrit for 30 years to understand the Vedic principles. And using that, he wanted to get into the minds of people following Vedic scriptures. And what he found out is that if you break two principles of Vedic process, no, it wasn't Churchill, it was before that. He said if you break these two principles of the Vedic people, then you'll break them. And those two principles were Brahminical qualities and culture and cow slaughter. These were the basic foundation for Vedic culture, And now if you look at India, it's like it's all like, it's all like so many different branches. So many people are put off by Hindus because you guys worship so many gods, And this is the effect of Kali Yuga. It's going to happen, But the essence is, rather than getting into too much technicality of the name and all this stuff, get to the essence. The point is, we're looking for happiness. We are the soul, and the best way you can do that is by connecting to the supreme source, basically, without getting into and as I said, it depends on who's asking.
Also, with the Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu, these, even in our literature, it's explained that these are the so Vishnu is expansion of Krishna, and the others are two demigods. So they govern things in the material world, isn't it? They're taking care of affairs in the material world, which is what most religions kind of address in terms of syllabus and stuff like that, whereas they wouldn't address things above that, because you'll need a lot deeper understanding for going into the spiritual world, and it's a lot harder to understand that. So the basics, maybe that small. Does that make sense?
So you guys are Hindus. Vaishnavism, that's what we call it basically. Does that make sense? Any other questions or doubts? Yes.
Sorry. How would you define religion? I get that when I'm confused about it. What's the exact definition of religion? A way of life?
Okay. So my understanding was it's a Greek word, I believe, religion, right? It means to link to the source or something like that. Basically, religion is a process where you're linking back to the source. Okay, and in Sanskrit we call it yoga. Yoga in Sanskrit means to unite. So the whole point of yoga system is that you're practicing these processes to connect your soul back to the supreme soul. You're connecting back to God. That's what religion basically means.
No, I was going to add this, something that Prabhupada said, that you need both philosophy and religion in life. So philosophy without religion is just mental speculation. It's all about understanding things in the mind but not action. And the other way, religion without philosophy is just extreme sentimentalism or fanaticism. So you're just doing action, but you don't really have an understanding of why you're doing it. So both are the actions and the understanding.
Okay, so say going back to the first thing we talked about, you were trying to convince atheists, right? Or just people who weren't Krishna conscious about what Krishna consciousness was. Say you're talking to an atheist, so a friend of yours, someone who trusts you, but you do the whole process, and you introduce Krishna consciousness to them, and they want to try it out. So you give them like easy stuff, and so you tell them to like chant and tell them to read. These are quite hard things to get your head around sometimes, even especially chanting. Quite hard to get your head around to focus on it totally, like when you're doing rounds and stuff. What would you say then? What kind of advice would you give them when they're finding it difficult and probably giving up because they still have doubt, but they're becoming more open because they trust you, right? So there still is doubt in their head, but they're more likely to give things up if it is very difficult.
First thing is you make sure that you're strong yourself spiritually. That's a big thing. Because once you're strong, you're practicing, you've got that conviction, that can be quite contagious also. But when you're half convinced and you're trying to convince someone about a process, that's not going to work either. Very important that your practice is strong. And in terms of how to convince people, first of all, you've got to understand that conviction will come according to their own intensity of the practice. So when you're presenting Krishna consciousness to others, you've got to give things at a time when they're ready. Don't give everything all at once, because that will fry them out. Because it's an intense process. Okay? So, first thing you do is you establish relationships. That's the first thing you do. If they don't do something or they do something wrong, don't judge them. Don't criticize them. You went out or you drank, you took drugs. No, because then they won't have that trust. Because when the going gets tough in their life, and they know that here is a person I can trust, they'll come to you, then they're ready to hear. Only when people are ready to hear, then they will listen to the philosophy. And even the Gita, if you look at the Gita, when in the second chapter, when first chapter, Arjuna's depressed, literally. He says, tears coming from his eyes, his palms are sweaty, and he put down the bow and arrow, and he said, Krishna, I shall not fight. In the second chapter, when Arjuna says that Krishna, now I'm a soul surrendered unto you, you're my teacher, advise me. And what's the first thing Krishna does? He smiles. Okay? He smiles. No, he doesn't smile because he's looking at the pity state of Arjuna. He smiles because he says that, okay, now this guy's ready to hear. Only when they hear, then you can give the stuff. So you can just start off with slowly, just be their friend, give them practical help, do something, personally, go a little further for them, as a friend. Then slowly start giving them the philosophy and step by step. And the most important thing is make sure you're convinced yourself, you have the better understanding yourself. When they have these questions, if you present them in a logical way, then the conviction increases, the faith increases. I don't know, does that help? This is how I generally find useful. Don't be a fanatic preacher. Because that's sometimes we feel that, that's what we need to, we're going to convert them. How many rounds you're chanting? 4. Damn, you're in Maya, yo. I'm just using your phrase, Maya. Yes, bro.
Kind of principle of good association, bad association. And how you're only supposed to associate with devotees.
So you have to have a balance, right?
How does that kind of what is are devotees more important than non-devotees, or is a person's association automatically good just because they identify themselves as devotee?
Yeah. So first of all, it's like,
What was the question?
he was just saying, he was talking about distinction between a devotee and non-devotee, and if you associate with devotees, are they better? Is that right?
Yeah, because I'm just thinking because there are many devotees who it's best. I don't know.
Sometimes you're in a situation where you don't get so much devotee association.
No, I'm just trying to think is there association necessarily better? Is the association of a devotee, or should you strictly I'm trying to understand whether you should strictly how far you should keep the association just with devotees, as opposed to non-devotees.
So this is how it works. Finding out the balance. Sometimes when you're out in the world, you may not get devotee association. So how does that work, right? When you're at work, school, you're not going to have devotees all the time. So the idea is, first is that you never disrespect anyone, whether they're devotees or non-devotees. First thing is first, Even if they're non-devotees, you still show respect. You still show compassion, whatever, And second thing is how do you balance between devotees and non-devotees? So it's mentioned that you should regularly get devotee association so you get nourished and you recharge. and then you're ready to go out there and connect with so-called non-devotees. So that way you can give, and at the same time you don't take from them. And when you're feeling low, that means you need time to recharge. So you come back and nourish yourself with devotee association. Does that make sense? So it's a regular thing. You have to fill up your tank, your nourishment. So when you're in association, make most of it. Just absorb, get more, So when you're out there and you're facing people out there, then you're ready to actually face them. So the idea is you give them your association, but you don't take the association. You don't pick up their habits and their thought process and mentality, basically. Does that make sense? Yeah, so you need to find that balance.
Fundamental